Hello, John.
Hello, Alan.
So today we're going to talk about a very special
Nice to
lady
hear
in
you.
Dáil Éireann. Her name is Hildegarde Naughton. She's the chief whip. She was born in 1977. She's the TD um, of Galway West since 2016. She was the mayor of Galway. She's been a senator. She's a classically trained soprano, and she's also been an actress. I'm not sure if she's still an actress now, but she has been in the past. This lady's quite impressive. She sits behind Simon Harris, and she has quite a presence. She's quite elegant. She's an attractive lady. She's probably one of the more impressive, elegant ladies in Dáil Éireann.
I'd say you're right. I think she's probably the most elegant and handsome and beautiful ladies in Dáil. And aside from that, she's a marvelous speaker. It appears to me that she's been got a good education, and by way of not just secondary school, but probably university. And she has natural talent, and you can be educated, but it doesn't make you a good speaker at times and what have you. But she's an excellent speaker, and her words are clearly understood. She speaks in such a way as you don't have to sort of say, "I wonder what did she say." She's very clear in what she has to say, and on top of that, she's very clear the way she puts her ideas. For example, she mentioned going back to 1926 in the foundation, when we had our freedom in the real sense of the word and this civil war was finished with. She says that population in Dublin increased by 196%, and whereas in the West, it actually decreased from what it was in 1926. So there's an imbalance there. And she was presenting a plan which seemed to be very credible and well thought out. A plan up to 2040 for the orderly development of the Western region, Galway, and in the West, generally speaking, and balancing of the population situation. She mentioned growth in Dublin, and of course it's obvious. And we did a video about it because I was more or less I could have walked to Stillorgan quicker than the bus. Took an hour to go from O'Connell Street, about 3 miles. So enough said. And so she didn't mention that, but she could have that it's gridlock in Dublin in that sense. So she did say that people might be worried about this rebalancing, but they needn't be worried because it's a question of common sense. Even people in Dublin, I think, are glad to get out of it when they're able to retire. Because trying to go anywhere unless you're near public transport, and I mean the Dart or the Lewis buses, I think you can forget about them because there's gridlock there with roadworks and this, that, and the other. There seems to be constant roadworks with new apartment buildings going up and all the rest of it. So, Hildegarde, they have, which is a good idea to plan ahead in an orderly manner, and she seems very well focused. If they were all like her, it would be the country would be governed for the good of the people. I hope that even with Simon Harris now being the new Taoiseach, he might be more focused on the like of that. And with the like of Hildegarde Naughton, she is a very good, capable person. And if there's any more like her, to have a chance. And because like they've been in power and they didn't seem to be going forward, but she certainly is a person that will go forward no matter what happens. And she has this talent, as you mentioned, of being a soprano, which is, as far as I'm concerned, a beautiful voice and one of the great voices for singing in church, in the Catholic Church, especially the hymns that I sing. And I'm not a soprano or even a tenor. I don't know what kind of a voice I have, but I certainly sing. and I expect to be singing in Grafton Street in due course and giving voice to what I have. And I won't be using any kind of trick of the loop stuff to make me voice better than it actually is. We might have some kind of a little speaker that it can be heard behind the newspaper, if you like. And but Hildegarde, we're talking about Hildegarde. And it's a lovely first name to my way of thinking. It's a very evocative sort of a name, and it's one that I certainly would welcome that kind of a name. There was a famous Catholic theologian, I think. Hildegarde was, I don't know whether it was surname or what, but suffice to say that she appears to me to be one of the most talented Fine Gael members that I've ever heard speaking.
Yeah, she's definitely she's very articulate, well educated, well able to put her point across, and very presentable.
Well, that's the main thing. And what come across, as far as I'm concerned, when you're speaking, the main thing is to be understood and to be focused on what it is that you intend to try to convey. And she certainly seems focused. And she thanked some minister for being there, or ministers, or whatever it was. But her plan, and it's a good idea to plan ahead with what's required for development. And there's some agencies in Galway that are heading in that direction. And the business of easy access to places. She was talking about there's a circular road there now, but you can be held up on it depending on what time you're going, because the traffic in Galway is fairly heavy because they're coming from different angles into work in Galway because it's an industrial hub and a university and all the rest of it. So there's a lot of traffic coming into it from Mayo and other regions. And I avoided myself now like the plague because you have to go at a certain time. I was visiting a few places there, churches, when I was doing my distributing my leaflets in Catholic churches and wherever I could. But I timed it in Galway. But still, it took me an hour to just do three churches because even at the time I picked, which was about 11 o'clock in the morning when things should be quieted down, it's still, there was traffic and you just couldn't make the time. But I got out of it, thank God, by 12 because otherwise I'd be stuck there like I was in Dublin, stuck and going nowhere. So, so she has a plan, and certainly Dublin is overcrowded and it's gridlock. So people, I think, would be very glad to move out of it to other regions that needs development and industrial development. Mayo is a classic example. Galway and Clare, for example. Limerick, it probably needs more development than it has. It used to have ranks, flour mills and various things. They're all gone, and so it needs maybe more development. The West, generally speaking, and going down as far as Kerry. But Kerry is, of course, a tourist destination, and it has the great Kerry Co-op that come up from humble beginnings and now is an international brand. And more power to the Dennis Brosnan that was the driving force in that. It only takes a person with vision to bring something forward. And he was one with vision, and that's a great gift. And Kerry is well supplied with those type of gifts, as far as I can see. And so is other areas, but they need the infrastructure to be able to do it and do it well. And I think Hildegarde Naughton is a great example of what it can do and what it's done for her. And so one would hope that the plan that they have that can be implemented, even if they're not in power, whoever gets in power will implement that kind of a plan because it makes great sense.
Doesn't it? There's always I suppose, look, there's always some changes made to other people's plans, when they get into power. But sure, a lot of them will probably, because we're part of the European Union, they'll follow through on a lot of them anyway.
Well, you see, about that EU, it was the European Economic Community, EEC, and it had a vision, a proper vision. As far as I can see, the European Union has a vision that I certainly wouldn't support in the fit,
Hmm.
because they're going down a very peculiar road of secularism, and that's no way to go. And they'll be heading for a fall, in my view, because when you go down that road, you're not going to succeed. And
Yeah.
they're dictating to countries now what they can do and not do, and that's no way to conduct themselves. I think it's the European Commission, and they're not elected. So I would be of the opinion that I'd like to bid them adieu. And now that we hopefully are not going to have another COVID monstrosity coming along and interfering with life, that we just be able to get on with it and paddle our own canoe. Isn't it better to paddle your own canoe than have somebody else paddling your canoe? Hmm?
I think it's always good, John Malone, to be self-sufficient.
Exactly. I mean, if you have to depend on somebody else for like a begging bowl, like a beggar, they go to Europe and kind of like beggars. I mean, you want a bit of self-respect and paddle your own canoe and just bid them adieu and have an associated with them, the like of Norway has and other countries. Yeah, what great benefit is it in many ways? I think we'll be forking out more money to subsidise them than what we might be getting. But even aside from the money and that end of things, it's the question of paddling your own canoe. We have great fishing grounds here that we have to share with other individuals that wouldn't give you the itch. So, like, we have so much amenities, and the country itself is a marvelous landscape with the mountains and the lakes and the rivers and all the rest of it. I got a book about when I was in was it Knock or wherever it was, and about Ireland West. And honest to goodness, the history attached to it. There's a megalithic tomb. I don't know if it's in Galway or Sligo, going back 5,000 years. One of the oldest in Europe, if not the world, 5 or 6 thousand years. And like you can see that there was great talent and belief in the afterlife, funny enough. So they weren't just swinging out of and coming out of caves or something. They sort of had vision. So we have this great tradition in this country, and we're descendants of the like of that.
Hmm.
And our forefathers that did such great Islander saints and scholars. So we focus on that, and I have a feeling Hildegarde Naughton is of that frame of mind, if I'm not mistaken. You can nearly recognise a kindred spirit, can't you?
You can indeed. So there we go. So that was she's person of the week, Hildegarde Naughton. She's as I say, she's quite impressive, and all Erin are lucky to have her.
We are, and I hope she goes on to for better things. She's a great representative. Even she'd be a great representative in Europe if we're still in that business of. I mean, the MEPs. I don't know what power they have because it's the Commission seems to me to have all the power, and they're not elected whatsoever. And I think it should be more of a balance with the people, the members that might have a vision, a proper vision about improving life for people rather than dictating them about what laws they can have to promote. Because I think a lot of the laws is not in the interest of a spiritual and a Catholic way of looking at life with God at the head and the great tradition of the civilization that the Christian and Catholic faith brought to Europe. You can't turn your back on that, and they seem to have done that, and they won't have any luck with that going to carry on. And neither does anybody that goes down that road. So I think in due course, wiser counsel might prevail that we might just kind of negotiate a kind of a role with them that doesn't involve membership, that we can run our own affairs and make our own arrangements here, there, and yonder. Don't forget, we have we have goodwill more or less all over the world because we never conquered anybody. We only send missioners to try and help them to save their immortal souls. So we've a good record in that department,
We
and
do
long
indeed.
may it last. We don't want to be dictated to by the the European Union,
Hmm.
telling us to do this, that, and the other. That's not in the interest of the good of society and life. And there's a very poor birth rate, and the way it's going in Europe, they won't be able to have enough workers to sustain their industries and all the rest of it. So the policies that they pursue is not for the good of the family or anything like that. So I reckon that in due course, wiser council will prevail, and we'll have an associate membership with them or something like that. We won't be just breaking off entirely, but we'll paddle our own canoe, and our waters, our fishing grounds will be more controllable, and our own fishermen can fish without being denied proper access to our own waters,
Now you're
which
talking.
which apparently should stretch 120 mile or something like that. So these are all the we could do very well paddling our own canoe. No point somebody else paddling your canoe and you standing by and not able to do anything.
That's it. So there you go. We got
Yeah.
that's it now. Okay. So listen, thanks very much.
Thanks very much, and more power to Hildegarde Naughton from Galway, and I hope she goes on to better things. We could do it once like that with people of that caliber to sort of lead things.
Very
She
good.
seems to have what I call good common sense and an ability to be able to make her point without being dictatorial or anything. So, okay, Oliver, bye
Thank
now.
you. Bye now. Bye.
Yeah.